The Dirk Diggler Story is a salacious 1988 mockumentary short film written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. It follows the rise and fall of Dirk Diggler, a well-endowed male porn star. Daniel Plainview is a ruthless oil prospector who goes on a relentless pursuit to become the most powerful oil tycoon. For this, he resorts to manipulating and using his adopted son. Paul Thomas Anderson is an American film director who has been obsessed with movies from a young age. His movies focus on desperate and dysfunctional characters trying to find their purpose in life. He has directed many critically acclaimed movies including Hard Eight, Boogie Nights, Magnolia, Punch Drunk Love, There Will Be Blood, The Master, Inherent Vice, and his latest film, Phantom Thread. His first film, The Dirk Diggler Story, from 1988. He was 18 when he made this. This would be the building blocks for his smash hit, Boogie Nights. It has a rating of 6.1 on IMDb and a 3 on Letterboxd. The film doesn't have that much of an underground cult obsession, rather it has a respect for its quality for an 18-year-old, and the legacy that it would go on to create. There Will Be Blood is widely regarded as one of the greatest films of all time, with an 8.2 on IMDb, a 4.4 on Letterboxd, and a 93% on Metacritic, all due to its hypnotic and unfathomably amazing performance from Daniel Day-Lewis, special mention to Paul Dano as well. The film had a budget of $25 million and made $75 million, compared to Dirk Diggler Story, which had a budget of practically nothing and was shot on a 1987 video camera that his father gave him. The movie was funded with the money a young Paul Thomas Anderson would get from cleaning pet cages at the local pet store. The Dirk Diggler Story was made in the 80s, which is widely known for its obsession and addiction to cocaine. It also saw the rise in the porn industry. This was due to the VHS, which allowed people to watch porn at home instead of grungy movie theaters. The film is very clearly a commentary on society at the time, and does so in a documentary way, almost as if what we're watching is real. And that's the thing, it was real for some people in this time period. There Will Be Blood is an implicit political commentary of the situation that was happening at the time. Reigning conservative leader George W. Bush was president of America when the movie was made. The Iraq War was also being fought. Before presidency, George Bush had previous ties in the oil industry. In extremely simplified terms, oil and America's desire for it played a large role in the Iraq War. The release of There Will Be Blood came at a very important time with its commentary on the dangers of capitalism, with similarities between Daniel Plainview and George Bush, with Daniel Plainview invading a small lower-class town and stealing their materials for personal gain. Like many filmmakers, Martin Scorsese was a massive influence on PTA, with Goodfellas being very influential in the making of the Dirk Diggler Story, which would become even more noticeable in Boogie Nights with its zippy pacing. Is also inspired by Raging Bull, the rise and fall story of Jake LaMotta, again very evident in both the Dirk Diggler Story and There Will Be Blood. Another inspiration on PTA's work was Stanley Kubrick, with him going on record saying,
"Let me just say that I don't think there's anybody that hasn't been influenced by Stanley Kubrick."
His movies are very philosophical and have very similar style to PTA's later works, with slowed down pace and very methodical camera work, creating lush sets and mise-en-scene that your eyes get lost in. The movies both take heavy inspiration from different stories. Dirk Diggler Story is inspired by the real-life person John Holmes, who was a porn star whose life followed fairly similarly to the events that take place in the mockumentary. There Will Be Blood is inspired by the novel Oil, which is about the relationship between a father who owns an oil tycoon and his son, who slowly begins to see the faults in his father. It is also inspired by the film The Treasure of Sierra Madre, which there being a rumour that PTA would watch it every night while on the set of There Will Be Blood. Some auteurs that have been inspired by PTA are the Sadvi brothers, with Punch Drunk Love being a mind-blowing experience for them, with one of their favourite actors, Adam Sandler, and their favourite director, Paul Thomas Anderson, being brought together, or in their words,
the two worlds combined. It was kind of groundbreaking to me, and I gotta thank you, man,
They saw how Adam Sandler could be so much more than a comedian, and that he could act more vulnerable and small, which helped them cast him in Uncut Gems. Paul Thomas Anderson has a very specific style in his movies. In the Dirk Diggler Story, you can see his personality in its first form. The dialogue overlaps in a very naturalistic way, a handheld camera which adds a never-ending momentum to his films, the long shots that go back and forth between the characters talking. Throughout his movies, his style has become more and more pronounced with his trademark steady camera work which follows characters. However, in There Will Be Blood it slows down and becomes less energetic but still present. An example of how PTA's style changes is how the two pieces handle death, with the two genres being very different and the obvious budgets, or lack thereof. They are both going to deal with things differently. Dirk Diggler's death is shown in a very naturalistic, fly-on-the-wall manner, with characters panicking and walking in the way of the camera, whereas in There Will Be Blood, the deaths are moved past straight away, in a callous, violent and disturbing manner. Characters don't make a big song and dance, and neither does the camera, done in static shots that hard cut away, not caring about what just happened. Reflecting Daniel Plainview as a character, cold and quite robotic, which is further shown through Johnny Greenwood's score. His movies often have a common theme of greed and the downward spiral, which is evident in the Dirk Diggler Story and There Will Be Blood. There is a very noticeable maturity comparing the two, not in the subject matter but in the way it is portrayed. Dirk's character is motivated by fame, which leads him down a dark road. Dirk Diggler's story becomes quite predictable with its contextual knowledge surrounding the film. You know that it isn't going to end well for him. But in There Will Be Blood, it is handled in a lot more philosophical way, shown through symbolism. The baptism of Eli in filth and greed, and the baptism of Daniel in revenge and hatred, showing how greed and corruption comes in many forms. Daniel Plainview is overpowered by his lust for oil and power, where Eli is motivated by the want for recognition. While the two media products are very different in their subject matter, they both end up leaving the audience wondering and thinking, is this really the American dream?